Okay, before we dive into the programming and or designing and the programming of a modularized program, I kind of want to show you a little bit of where are we headed, so you kind of have an idea what's to come and what we're doing and the steps to get there, and really what the end result will be. You know, always that little adage, always have the end in mind and where you're going. So I want to show you what a modularized program looks like. Okay, I'm not going to explain it here. I'm just going to kind of show it to you and kind of give you a 10,000 foot idea on where we're heading. And then we'll dive into the details as we continue on with our videos for this week. All right, so in this particular case here, this is good old VB Auto Center, okay, a version of it. All right, you guys should be very much aware of that by now. And as you see, what we have done, we had our constants up here. Excuse me, and then basically on our button click, we declared our variables, our local variables. We got and validated our input. I had a lot of different examples here of doing that, but our validation of our input, I should say, okay? And then we did our calculations, as you see here, and we finally displayed. And as you see, if we sit back and kind of look at this, even though this program is not overly big, it starts at line 47. Yeah, I got some spaces in here, and it ends at line 152. So with the spaces and so on, this is probably, we'll say, an 80-line program, give or take, okay? So it's gotten bigger, and you probably have already written ones that are already larger than what this particular one is. Just the beginning. I still can't stress enough how this is going to get larger and larger as you hit the real world. So this is why we need to learn how to break our programs down and make them more readable. Okay, so where are we heading with this? So this is what you know right now, that if we double clicked on this our calculate button right here, you basically, here's all the code, and this is what you've written, okay? Again, we're not going to change that so much. We're not going to actually change our logic. There's going to be a couple of new things you need to learn as we go through this, but for the most part, it's the same all the way through, logical wise. But what's it going to look like? Well, instead of a programmer or whomever coming into this, I'm going to go over to this one, and we double click on, it's a little bit different looking, but it's the same program. We double click on this. Look at what my button click actually looks like. Again, don't sit back and say I don't understand this, because we're going to go through it in detail in each of the videos. But if you actually look at it, what it's going to do now, it took all that code from the button calculate, and it's going to have this button calculate is what's going to be called our controller, okay, our event. And it's going to actually call a procedure called get and validate inputs. Then it's going to call a procedure, calculate the car price, and call a procedure called display totals. What's these procedures? Well, these are called user-defined procedures, and again, we'll get into more detail. And as you can see, all I really did was, there's some other things in here we'll talk about as we go through it, but I just kind of transferred the code that was once in that main button click procedure to its own procedure. And as you see, each procedure does one thing. Here's calculating the car price, calculating the accessories, calculating the finish, calculating the tax, calculating the subtotals, displaying the totals. All right? Once again, you might look at this and say, Bob, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not really asking you to know what I'm talking about. I'm not asking you to look at this and know how to do it right now. I'm asking you to look at this understanding where we're headed. We're headed to write a program that is not in one procedure, that is in multiple procedures broken up based upon one purpose, and then basically what we do is we call each one of these things. Okay, but one of the things you will notice right off the bat is when I double click here, this particular procedure now pretty much tells me exactly what's going on with my program. I'm going to get and validate my inputs. I'm going to calculate my car price. I'm going to display totals. Yeah, there's all these variables in these brackets, and I'll explain them all in detail as we move forward. Again, just a little video to make sure you have a kind of an idea on where we're headed. So when I start telling you the process of going through it, you at least have an idea of where we're headed. That's all I care about. All right? Both these programs will be available for you to actually download and look at for this week. And so you may want to pull them out and take a quick look at them and compare them. Let's again, before you dive into the whole how and the step by step approach of getting to what we're trying to accomplish here.